A very warm welcome to Volvo Group Live, a series of online events where you get to tap into the experience of some of our passionate employees on topics that matter. And today's topic is diverse ability. Do you know that in the world, 1.3 billion people experience a diverse ability, whether visible or invisible? That is 1 people in 6. When working with inclusion, we create a more accepting and supportive work environment for these people, and actually for everyone. Because in the course of a lifetime, we will be impacted by the nuances of genetics or age, maybe an accident, maybe a disease that will leave us impaired punctually or forever. And at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing, feeling valued for unique abilities and feeling empowered. So, Kate, you're heading leadership, diversity and inclusion at Volvo Group.
Yeah.
Why does it matter that we should address this topic in the workplace today?
Super. It's a super question, but let me start maybe with my personal why. I was in my early 40s when a very close friend of mine was diagnosed with the early onset of a neurodegenerative disorder. And I watched the very long journey to diagnosis. And then I witnessed how this individual came to terms with what it meant for them, for their identity, for their family. We had young daughters the same age, and what it meant for work. A big part of who we are the jobs we do and the purpose that we derive from that. I think unintentionally I had thought that individuals with diverse abilities are very sure on their needs, and in a way that maybe those needs are static. And so as an organisation or a leader, what we do then is assess, can we meet those needs or can we modify for those needs? I realise I was so utterly wrong. There are so many people with diverse abilities that are required or evolve. What we need to do in the workplace is create a safe space. As leaders and colleagues, we need to turn up and be curious, be supportive and be patient. And we also need to create space for conversations. How do we work together? How do we turn up for each other? How do we unleash everyone's full potential? At Volvo Group, we want to be truly sustainable. So when it comes to people, we want to create equal access to the workforce. We want to create a culture that spreads inclusion, where you can turn up as your diverse self and unleash your full potential. We know we're not perfect, but we understand how important it is to create space for these conversations where we can be curious, we can explore different perspectives, we can really listen. You know, Celine, we want to be sustainable. What we really want to do is shape the world we want to live in.
Thank you so very much, Kate, for setting the scene for us today.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to work with a diverse ability? Here is an invitation to step into your exploration zone with my colleagues Sarah and Armando. Armando, you were born with dyslexia. Can you explain to us what dyslexia is and how it impacts you in your work?
Yeah, so dyslexia is a specific learning ability. You can find difficult to or affects your reading and writings. You can find hard to scan and skim texts. So for me, it's difficult sometimes to read long emails or paragraphs, text, technical information. But I found different ways to approach this difficulty. And there are some levels of dyslexia as well. So I found out that I had dyslexia or diagnosed with dyslexia after 30 years old, so after I finished my master. Okay. And when I did the test, it was say that I had lower dyslexia because I was able to study in a different ways, to find my process and methods to develop, to approach this difficulty better. So there are some different levels of dyslexia, and I found that I'm learning with this. I'm learning how to work with this now, because before I was a student, I was working with this, but it's different now when you are at work and have dyslexia.
It makes sense. Thank you, Armando. Sarah, your story is a little bit different. It was at the age of 32 that your life was turned upside down. Can you tell us about your journey?
Absolutely. Yeah, I found out quite late in life. I actually have a degenerative eye disease called Stargardt's disease. But up until then, I didn't really know I had a problem. And my sight had been really good. But one day I was reading a magazine and the words started disappearing off the page. And I really didn't know what was going on. And after several months, I was diagnosed with this eye disease, which really changed my life. And, it's affected my work. It affects what I do every day. I really struggle to recognize faces. I can't see you, for example, sat opposite me. I rely heavily on my peripheral vision as this disease affects completely my central vision. So I struggle also with reading documents and, as I said, recognizing people. So it really changed everything.
Thank you both for being very open with what you experience. Armando, was it always easy to talk about dyslexia at work?
No, actually, it was fear at first. When I started, I was not sure if I will be able to share this with my manager and with my team because I didn't want that impact my role and my professional start with Volvo. So it took me around 6 months until I was able to be more transparent and try to bring that to the table. But what I learn about this, and I will advise others, is as soon as possible, the better, because then it's like you can transmit what your needs, you can communicate better, you can find your own way, your own pace, and your own methods to be better in your work.
Yeah, and to give your full self, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly, your full potential.
Yeah. Listening to you, I can't help wondering, how do you cope with a diverse ability? I mean, how do you get to accept it and not give up? Sarah, how did you manage?
It's quite difficult at the beginning to accept that something major is going to change in your life. And it takes time to adjust that. Like Armando, it took me quite a long time to talk about it openly. It took me several years before I would actually openly talk about it in bigger settings. But I think there are some important things, I think, to take from the journey that I've been through. Disability doesn't define who I am. It's part of who I am. I'm super happy with who I am. I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of everything that I've achieved despite having challenges. So it doesn't define me. I think what I've learned to do is appreciate what I have, not what I don't have. So really leaning into that.
Yeah. Have you kind of shrunk your ambitions at work?
No, actually, I would say it's given me more fuel in my ambition. It's really given me that fire in the belly to do more. So it's probably pushed me even further than I would have done if I hadn't have had a diverse ability.
And when you have a diverse ability, you tend to develop other skills and talents. Is that what you've experienced, Armando?
Yes, I think I developed something that without knowing, I was creating, and it's on emotional intelligence and empathy, because I needed to connect with people. I needed to be able to transmit my situation, my life, to connect with different people in different places. I had moved from Mexico to Madrid, to Sweden, and I needed to connect with different situations. So adapting to different environments, that's maybe something that I also create. I think I also try to be more creative and try to think more out of the box. So when I'm bringing out or brainstorming different topics, I think I tend to be more creative in this way. And I'm very determined, so I try to push as much as I can, even that if someone told me, no, you cannot do it, that's when I really like that. And that's when I say, no, I can. If he can do it, I can do it.
You strike me as indeed someone very persistent and resilient. Sarah, have you developed special talents as well? And could we even go as far as saying that there's a positive side to your diverse ability?
Yeah, I mean, there's different skills that kind of you pick up when you have a diverse ability. In my case, learning to ask for help and being vulnerable has been something that I've really worked hard to do. You know, it's quite difficult to ask for help at the beginning. But actually, when you spend time focusing on the things that are important to you and ask for help on things that are a bit easier to ask for help on, it makes life so much easier. So this sort of tiredness you get from having to overcompensate kind of, is eased by asking for help. The other thing is as a leader, empathy, because actually everyone is different, right? Everyone is unique. We have different life events that hit us through our life, whether it's having a child or maybe you go skiing and, something happens, or have a diverse ability. Everything you go through your life having different things happen. And, I've really learned to appreciate that in my team, everyone is different, everyone's unique, everyone brings something different to the table. So it's really the power of putting that together.
You have a very positive talk, but I'm sure it's not always easy every day. And this constant adaptation must take a lot of energy from you.
Yeah, it really does. I think, as I said earlier, you overcompensate. So reading things takes so much longer. Recognizing faces, just being in the studio like we are now, I think it really takes quite a lot of extra energy to compensate for my sight loss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is a certain amount of tiredness that comes along with that.
And thank you really for sharing this, because it's something that if we don't experience, we might not notice or think about.
Yeah.
Your testimonials are very inspirational. Thank you so much. What would you say as a last takeaway for our audience watching?
I will say never feel less than others. As Sarah said, we are all unique. And be yourself. Be kind with yourself. That's very important.
And you, Sarah?
Be proud of yourself and be proud of who you are, and really make the most of what you have in life, not what you don't have.
Very wise words. Thank you. This is something I think can be applied to any one of us. I strongly believe in the meaning and the power of words. So when I say the word disability, how does it make you feel? I think it's fair to say that in today's society, there is still a lot of stigma around disability. And I would love to hear about your experiences of that in the comments. And becoming more inclusive starts with smashing misconceptions. And to do that, I would like to introduce you to 4 of my colleagues who are highly engaged in a Volvo Group employees network around disability. And I would like to start with you, Marie. Would you say that the word disability is synonymous to disadvantage? Or is disability equal to inability?
No, not at all. And actually, this is one of the biggest and most common misconceptions around disability. Disability and inability are 2 very close words. However, in reality, they couldn't be further apart. Many people think that because you have a disability, you are unable to do something, which is absolutely not true. A disability is defined as any condition of the body or mind that makes it more difficult for the person with the condition to do certain activities and interact with the world around them. People with disability engage in the world with a wide variety of ways. They might do things differently than the way society has taught us to follow and respect. And this is the only difference here. How society has formatted the way we think and the way we see others. We are actually the one making disability mean inability by accepting and following one normal way of doing things, which actually excludes others. Doing things in a different way doesn't mean that you are unable to do something. Having a disability doesn't stop you doing good work. So we shouldn't assume what disabled people can or cannot do. Many people with disability will often show higher determination and reliability. We should be hiring disabled people for their strength and for the value and innovation that they would bring. Studies show that companies who prioritize disability inclusion are actually more profitable. So to finish, working or socializing with someone who has a disability might be overwhelming, it might be difficult, it might be challenging, because this is not something you are used to. And this is normal, because we are not good at dealing with things we don't know. However, this is unfortunate because this ignorance and misconception is what fuels stigma and discrimination. So we need to change this, and we need to try to stop this. So let's be curious, let's educate ourselves, let's try to put ourselves in other people's shoes, let's be curious and talk about disability. Let's spread the word together that disability is not inability.
Point taken. Thank you very much, Marie. So that's one tick. Over to you, Karim, for a second common misconception.
Thank you. One very, very common misconception, actually, that came across my mind many times, and let's be honest, to a lot of people as well, is the fact that we tend to think that most disabilities are visible. We think about people in wheelchair, for example. Well, the reality is that it is not the case. Invisible disability refers to a disability that cannot be detected by sight or simply by looking at the other person. And this type of disability represents close to 80% of the total reported disability. It is the vast majority of them, which means that no matter who we are, where we work, what we do outside of work, as soon as we are surrounded by people, we have a very high chance to be interacting with people that carry a disability. And it could be many different of them, many different forms. Dyslexia is one of them, ADHD, autism, chronic pains, even depression is considered as a huge and heavy disability today. That's why I really believe that it is very important to be aware simply of your surroundings and to welcome everyone as they are with no judgment. We never know. And this will help us a lot to create a more inclusive workspace and at large a society where we all feel much better. And over to you now, Vincent.
Thank you, Karim. My misconception on generally a majority of people to have not understand the disability situation and not live on the disability situation have not possible for you and from your mentality to the people in disability situation to work on the company, integrate on the society and someone. I take my example. I am fully integrated on my company and on my society. Clearly, I need some adaptation and I need some adaptation on my professional and personal aspect, but I am fully integrate on Volvo company. I take example. I support my department on all sourcing application and on all digital application. I am expert key user from different purchasing application, and I am fully integrate on activity, business activity, professional activity, and personal activity on my colleague. I participate on workshop, after work, live meeting, and someone. Jimmy, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I'd like to talk a bit about neurodivergence and the misconception that it only affects boys. But first, what exactly is neurodivergence? So it's an umbrella term that means that the human brain is diverse with different strengths and views the world in different ways. And some examples might be autism, dyslexia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So it is true that boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls, but that's largely because their symptom presentation is so different. So boys tend to have a more physical and disruptive behaviors like excessive movements, fidgeting, impulsivity, or being overly aggressive. Girls tend to show more inattentive symptoms. So they might be labeled as a daydreamer or bossy, talkative, forgetful, or easily distracted. Girls are often better at masking or hiding their difficulties to conform to social expectations. So they end up working harder to compensate for their inattentiveness, which can make their struggles less noticeable. So this masking often results in girls being misdiagnosed with other conditions like anxiety, depression, or even bipolar disorder instead of neurodivergence. And the gender bias in the diagnosis and also in the testing means that many women end up growing up without the support that they need. So this can lead to challenges in their personal and professional lives. But I think that in understanding how neurodivergence presents differently in girls and women, that we can work towards more accurate diagnoses and better support for everyone. But hopefully we can continue to challenge these biases and advocate for more inclusion and acceptance. But really, I mean, when in doubt, just be kind.
Thank you so very much, Jamie and Vincent and Karim and Marie. A beautiful mosaic of advice from Sweden, France, and the US. I think people tend to see themselves as inclusive by default. It's actually good sometimes to take a good look at ourselves in the mirror, challenge our own deeply rooted biases, because our thoughts shape our actions and our actions shape the world. So when we shift our thoughts a little bit, well, in the end, we get to change the world, no less than that. Inclusion starts with hiring people with diverse abilities in the workplace, but it's a lot more than that. It's about looking at the accessibility of the car park. It's about the tools we use, our processes. It's about the company's culture and the people's mindset. How do we make it happen in reality? Let's go over to Volvo Group India and pick some of their practices.
Hi everyone. At Volvo Group India, we are committed to creating an inclusive workplace for all. Over the past few years, we have made several improvements to our physical environment, making it more accessible and comfortable for every employee. In addition to inclusive hiring practices, awareness and sensitization programs for all. We have started adapting our facilities, including installing accessible lifts, braille signage for meeting rooms, tactile flooring, dedicated parking for employees with diverse abilities, lower reception areas, and other accessible infrastructure facilities to foster a more inclusive environment.
To make workplace inclusive to everyone, it is important that we customize the building to improve accessibility, especially for those with diverse abilities. Working at Volvo Group makes me feel valued and supported. These changes have truly improved my daily experience at work.
Let's not just celebrate diversity, but actively embrace it in everything that we do. Volvo's Spark PWD Inclusive Program is an initiative in that direction, where we provide opportunity and encouragement for people with diverse abilities to reach their potential. Because we believe when each one of us feels truly included, we can rise higher together. We in Volvo Group are committed to creating a future where every single person belongs, the kind of workplace and world we all deserve.
At Volvo Group India, Financial Control and Accounting has pioneered embracing diversity and inclusion through the Spark initiative for inclusion of persons with diverse abilities. By hiring individuals with diverse abilities, the team has added valuable skills and perspectives and fostered a more compassionate and understanding work environment. This initiative has not only benefited the team, but also enhanced the organization's overall culture. Fostering an inclusive work culture has proved to be a key driver of positive results in our area, This is particularly evident with the success of our Spark initiative. These talented individuals have made significant contributions to our work, thereby enriching our team dynamics and problem-solving approaches. This exemplifies the value of building a truly inclusive environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute.
Our journey towards inclusion extends across all operations, including our factory establishments, where employees with diverse abilities contribute to our daily success. At Volvo Group India, inclusion isn't just a goal, it's a part of who we are. Together, we're building a workplace that cares for all.
Are we looking at differences and inclusion as a cost or as a gain? But what exactly have we got to gain? I would love to hear your reactions and your concrete experience of that in the comments. And we've asked the question to some of our colleagues at Volvo Group Brazil.
Eu já trabalhei em 3 lugares e aqui na Volvo é o quarto. E a Volvo foi a melhor do mundo porque ela tem respeito, por exemplo, com as pessoas com deficiência, com surdo, com cego, com as pessoas negras, pessoas LGBTs. No geral, homem, mulher, negros. Eu me sinto mais seguro e mais respeitado trabalhando aqui na Volvo.
A inclusão é muito importante para nós. É um aprendizado diário, mas é muito gratificante para nós. A gente ensina a parte técnica para eles e eles nos ensinam de uma outra forma para nós. Com eles, a gente aprende a ver o mundo com outra perspectiva.
Eu aprendi Libras no colégio, onde tinham várias pessoas surdas. Eles me ensinaram Libras e eu fui autodidata e aprendi facilmente. Aqui dentro da Volvo eu uso Libras para todas as pessoas que têm deficiência, né, os surdos. Principalmente nas reuniões de 5 minutos, EAG, ou quando é alguma oficina que eles precisam de intérprete e eu estou à disposição. A minha parceria com o Rodolfo sempre foi muito boa e a gente sempre teve contato desde o primeiro dia que eu entrei aqui. Então eu sempre continuei interpretando para ele, conversando, auxiliando e trocando ideias e aprendendo juntos. Viramos amigos.
A Darina é uma pessoa que nos ajuda e a ajuda dela é muito importante. Nos ajuda diariamente em reuniões, em treinamentos, ajudando o Rodolfo a entender o que está sendo passado, as informações a ele. Mostra que o nosso time é unido e a gente está se ajudando em qualquer momento. Pessoas especiais são especiais pela superação daquilo que fazem. Muitas vezes nós temos dificuldade em realizar as atividades que eles fazem. Ter o Rodolfo na nossa equipe é um exemplo de superação e nos faz acreditar que é possível realizar os desafios do nosso dia a dia.
Eu ajudo o Rodolfo, quando ele tem alguma dúvida técnica, ele vem até mim e a gente vai se ajudando. Desde que eu entrei na Volvo e eu pude colocar Libras em prática, eu me sinto muito feliz, muito realizada de poder estar ajudando e estar contribuindo com os surdos, né, principalmente. Então eu me sinto muito feliz por ter isso aqui dentro. A gente se sente muito respeitado e muito feliz de trabalhar aqui. Estou realizada. Ele nasceu surdo profundo, e sempre foi uma coisa natural para ele. Ele se formou em engenharia e foi uma coisa muito importante para ele, para o futuro dele, para poder melhorar e trabalhar aqui. As pessoas ajudam, tem sim inclusão, por exemplo, a Darine, que sabe Libras, o Luiz também, que sabe Libras, o líder Souza também, que sabe Libras, o líder Eric também, que ajuda. Às vezes, se não sabe alguns sinais, ele faz escrita por mensagem, então a gente consegue se comunicar bem.
Eu trabalho há 39 anos na Volvo e desde que eu entrei aqui, a Volvo sempre respeitou a diversidade. É o jeito da Volvo colaborar para um mundo melhor.
Eu percebi aqui na Volvo a inclusão, deficiente, LGBT, a diversidade. E a Volvo valoriza muito essas pessoas, a cultura dessas pessoas, tem empatia. E tem muita importância aqui dentro, sim. E eu recomendo a Volvo, porque é um lugar maravilhoso de trabalhar e eu me sinto respeitado aqui dentro da Volvo.
Inclusion yields so many benefits for individuals, teams, organizations as a whole. So I'm wondering, are we doing everything we can to support and include people with diverse abilities? We're going to get some tips from my colleagues Daniele and Ida here, and I would love to hear your ideas in the comments. Let's start with you, Daniele. In your role, you have influence on very many employees and functions. I know that you're very engaged on the topic of diverse ability. What mindset drives you on this topic?
Yeah, I would say that I would like to share today 2 aha moments I have had leading people with diverse abilities as well as caregivers. And as a leader, you are more likely to get things done with and through others rather than doing it directly. So I always think in terms of what it is that I can do to provide the best condition for people to engage and contribute so that they can become the best version of themselves. And we already adjust and adapt for many differences, language differences, background, cultural background or religious beliefs. Look at the two of us. None of us is an English native speaker, though we are adjusting and adapting using English so that we can contribute to this important conversation. So here is my first aha moment. As a leader, it is actually not that different to adapt and adjust for diverse abilities. And then, truth be told, many of us are likely to be exposed and experience diverse abilities through the course of their lives. Many of us, for example, have had moments of limited mobility or maybe reduced emotional availability or mental lucidity. Many of us have felt the difficulties to perform at our best in environments that were maybe unknown or not very well suited for us. And I think that this, for certain people, is a momentaneous condition. For others, is a permanent one. Yeah. So here is my second aha moment. As a leader, you need to be mindful of that, and you can be extremely intentional in the way you engage and enable individuals with diverse abilities as well as caregivers.
So, practically speaking, how do we turn this into the reality?
So let me start by saying that while caring is important, being impactful in the way you care is actually what really makes the difference. So what can a leader do in being impactful? First of all, be curious. Learn about the practical implication of the diverse abilities your people might carry. This will build empathy and also will help you to be more effective in the way you support them. Then you can adapt the physical environment. And here I'm talking about workstation, equipment, common areas. There is a lot that technology can do to help. And by the way, don't get thrown away by the cost side of that, because in my direct experience, in the vast majority of cases, investment made to enable people to be their true and full selves are incredibly positive in that respect. Then you can introduce routines and procedures that are considered of diverse abilities. I'm thinking about how you run meetings, the visuals you have, the subtitles, the way you prepare and execute events. With time, this becomes second nature to you and becomes de facto your part of your culture. Furthermore, I think it's very important that as a leader you consistently talk over time about the implication that diverse abilities have on individuals. That's because for those individuals that carry diverse abilities or for their caregivers, that is a daily part of their life.
Of course.
So as a leader, it's important that you keep up your dialogue. Make it part of your regular one-to-ones and ask your leaders, the leaders in your organization, to do the same wherever is relevant. And then finally, be equally demanding on business outcome from person with diverse abilities as well as caregivers. So don't confuse care and kindness with paternalism. Rather, your focus should be in providing an environment that really enables those talented individuals to express their full potential.
Daniele, thank you very much. Very rich conversation here. So many tips to take away. You lead in your team people with diverse ability, but also caregivers. And so I'm turning now to Ida. Hi, Ida. You are also in a leadership position, and you're a mother of a young boy. He's 7.5, and he's on the autism spectrum. I guess it's been quite a journey. What have you learned throughout this experience?
Yes, it has been a challenge, and I have learned many things. For instance, every child on the spectrum is unique. I have learned to be more present today, more here and now, and after all, everything will be okay, and that was not a given. Also, I see the small positive things in life, like a smile or just small things, and I really appreciate what I have today. Also, I have learned to be still remain calm in very stressful situations. I see the good things in people, being more empathic. I'm also more accepting in general and reading people's needs. I strongly believe that everyone wants to do their best with the resources that they have.
It seems that you've drawn from a personal situation a lot of skills and a wise outlook on life that you can bring into your work. It can't have been an easy ride. What made you pull through?
Yeah, when my son first got diagnosed with autism, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of strong feelings, and grief was one of them. A lot of worry about how would the future look like. But what has really helped me is to meet other parents in the same situation that really understands me and my situation. And I have my Autism Mom Dinner Club, and I'm super grateful of those girls. Also, what we will do in Volvo shortly, we will launch a lunch network for parents with children with special needs.
Okay.
And I believe that that will be helpful for a lot of people. Also, one more thing.
Yeah.
I have chosen to be open and honest with my manager and my colleagues about my situation. And I think showing vulnerability, it creates a lot of trust.
Yeah, Sarah mentioned that also earlier today. So I see you've put a lot of things in place to kind of support yourself. What if me, as a colleague, I kind of want to help? What can I do?
Good that you ask, Celine. Small things, really. Really see people around you and notice when someone is not well. It's okay to ask, and ask how people feel. If they are not okay with the question, they will tell you. Be curious and be empathic. Also, I would like to share a nice memory that I have together with my team that I was the group manager for. And every year in connection with the Gothenburg Half Marathon, there is also a special race for people with disabilities. It's called Specialvarvet. And Volvo, we're one of the sponsors. Okay. And my team, they joined me there because my son was also there to run with his school. And my team was there to volunteer and support and cheer. And it was just a fantastic experience. It was so much happiness, love, so many smiles, and so much inclusion. And I'm so grateful to have my team to share this wonderful moment with me.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Yeah. And I love that story that I'm sure it has really strengthened the bonds within your team. Thank you, Ida. Thank you very much, Daniele, for being with us today. I've learned so much from you. That's it, folks. A lot of food for thought today. Personally, I'm taking away a lot of golden nuggets, that we're all unique individuals with unique abilities. So let's be proud of who we are. We can learn to focus on what we have instead of what we don't have. We can learn to develop our emotional intelligence, or vulnerability, asking for help, or resilience. And let's be kind to each other. We can focus on what we have in common instead of our differences. And when we do that, we feel much better at work, and we can give our very best. And this is the way we can shape the world we want to live in. So what about you? What are your takeaways of today, and what are your stories of inclusion? I'd love to read about them in the comments, and all our speakers today will join you online to continue the conversation. Take care, and bye for now.